Hi everybody, this is Tom from VermiBag. It's been 2 weeks since I set up the VermiBag Totes, so I want to do an update. I did do one last week because there was really not that much to show you. The worms are doing good, but nothing extraordinary. So I decided to wait for a second week. So I'm going to go ahead and dig down through the one here that I have in the 10-gallon tote, and then we'll take a peek at the other one that I have in the 14-gallon tote. So we'll go ahead and dig into the 10-gallon tote first, and then I'll pull the 14-gallon tote over and we'll take a peek into that. They're both about the same really. They're both doing pretty good. So this is the 10-gallon Rubbermaid tub. Now in this particular system you can tell that by putting this in, I have space all the way around the system. I can put my hand down along the side and the bag doesn't touch the tub. Now in this particular one, I didn't put the cardboard stiffener in the bottom. Now you could either, like I said before, use cardboard, or you could actually use some of this pressed wood too, this really hard pressed board. It'll last for the whole process of getting until you get to the next harvest. This stuff will expand a little bit, but it'll keep a little bit of rigidity and keep the bag flat on the bottom. So in this particular system, by not having a stiffener or cardboard on the bottom, when I reach down in the bottom and I actually stick my hand underneath this at the very bottom, the very, very center and the bottom of the bag right in this area here is actually touching the bottom of the Rubbermaid tub. So if you were going to get a lot of excess leachate or something in the system, a little bit could possibly collect right at the very, very bottom. So by putting that cardboard in the bottom, it'll stiffen the bag up enough to bring it up off the bottom. Give a little bit of air gap at the bottom, and the bag would never be sitting in leachate. And that's if you run the system too wet. If you run the system normal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just setting it up like this without any type of stiffener in the bottom. So let's take a look at inside and see how the worms are doing. Now I went ahead and put some old gunny sacks, burlap sacks inside here. I have a bunch of these, so I just cut it up and made one layer. The worms really like it. I mean, you see them intermingling in here all the time. And it seems to really help in cocoon production. Zoom in a little bit further here. Dig down just a little bit and see what we got here. The worms are really starting to work the material over for sure. I put these are like little squash, these long squash. And when you get done, they kind of look like they're toilet paper rolls that are sliced. Because all that's left is this little piece. And the worms look real nice. I'm not going to say they're overly concentrated in any one spot, but I'm going all the way to the bottom, just mixing this stuff up. They look nice and healthy. There's a good bunch of them right there on leftovers of something, little worm ball. The system is just a perfect moisture content. Really nice moisture content. You can tell the material is definitely starting to get worked over pretty good. This other side. They're not going to like me digging them up like this, but oh well. Like I said, I probably started with about ½ a pound, so I don't have a huge number of worms in here, but they're definitely looking good. I mean, they're mixed everywhere within the system. I'm going to say pretty uniformly all the way around. And the system isn't dry at all along the edges or anything. I mean, it's really nice and moist everywhere. Perfect consistency. Yeah, so they look good. Again, I haven't done any huge feedings or anything on this thing, so, and there's not enough worms to have this huge mass of worms up here after a feeding. So as the worm population grows, I'm sure we'll get more. But for right now, they have an awful lot of bedding to go through, and so I'm not giving them a ton of food. Putting a fair amount in there, but next week I'll do a good feeding, or maybe even later this week, at least add some lettuce and a couple other things in there just to give them a little bit more. But overall, the system looks really nice. I mean, again, moisture-wise is perfect. The worms are happy. You don't see any trails along the side of the bag at all, where the worms have been climbing at all. I mean, not a single solitary mark at all on the side of the bag. So that's good. I'll grab the other tote and take a quick peek in there. Okay, here's the other tote that I have. I put this one into a 14-gallon. Take a peek in there. And the same thing, I put a little bit of a gunny sack, just one layer of this on top. And again, the worms, you can see how they're all mixed in here. They really like playing in this stuff. And again, just got to be a little careful when you pull it off, because sometimes they'll be stuck between here and the ground. You don't want to rip them in half, but if you pull it up slowly, they'll be fine. And I've thrown quite a few extra coffee grounds into this system. That's just pure coffee there. So let's dig down and see what it looks like. There's some food I put in. So they haven't gone through all the food that I've given them. But again, there's not a huge number of worms in here either. I do see some small juveniles. I don't see any really, really tiny ones yet that have just hatched. So probably hasn't been long enough to get any new hatchlings. Down below you find pieces of food like that there, and you got quite a few worms in it. Again, the moisture content is really nice, and you can tell this material that's down a little bit deeper is starting to get worked over pretty good by the worms. Try this other side a little bit. Yeah, they look good. There are a lot of worms in here. Again, they're mixed up pretty good. But and again, on this one, the moisture content is just perfect. At the bottom of the bag, it's not wet at all. Now, in this system, since this is in a 14-gallon tote, the bottom of this system is actually probably about 4 inches off the bottom of the Rubbermaid Tote. So if any moisture at all collects in the bottom, if I watered too much or gave it too much, wet material, watermelon or squash or something like that, any excess liquid could go ahead and drip down into the Rubbermaid tub, and then I could drain it out of there. So you'll never get, the system will never get too wet. It can't, because it's going to drain out the bottom. And again, there's a tremendous amount of airflow through this system. You can put your hands all the way around. I can put my hands here all the way underneath here. Now I'm touching the bottom of the bag. And I don't feel any moisture at all on the bottom of the bag either coming out right now. So it hasn't been leaking into the Rubbermaid tub at all. But again, there's plenty of food in here, so I'm not going to feed these guys anymore. As you can see, they really like these gunny sacks. They sit here and play, go in and out of these things. And you see a lot of cocoons a lot of times right here inside the gunny sack in this burlap. So I'm just going to keep it and just let it start disintegrating and use up the stuff that I have. So that's it. I'm not going to feed them again like the same on the other one. I'm not going to feed it this week. We'll give it another week, take a peek at it next week and see how it looks. So this is Tom from VermiBag. Until next time, ciao.